Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you want in the body and mind you want. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of freedom with food and your body, you're in the right place. Hi everyone, thanks for being here today and listening. I am hoping that you take away some ideas that you can really start to immediately implement to get you moving in the direction you want to be moving in, whether that's with weight loss or anything else you are on purpose trying to change. In this episode, I'm going to share with you how slowing down and trying softer for the weight loss process are really keys to creating sustainable weight loss, that long-term weight loss. And this goes back to the idea that, this is about not wanting to have to do the weight loss process over again, right? We always talk about this, like diet fads, like all those kinds of things. Many of us have yo-yo dieted over the years, trying all the fads, and it works for a while and then it doesn't. And then, the weight comes back on, sometimes plus some. And so that's a really icky process to be involved in most of your life. I spent many, many years there, and it really is my mission to help other people not have to spend many years of their life in that place because it is so miserable. So the idea is get the weight loss off, or get the weight off, have that weight loss that you desire to be in that healthy body to hit those goals you want. But the real goal is to be able to keep it off for good. And there are ways, mindset, there are behavioral strategies, there are ways to do it in a way so that it does stay off for good. So I am going to give you some really practical behavioral and mindset strategies in this episode that you really can begin to implement today. So you can start to create and develop sort of this new way of being and thinking within your own personal process of weight loss that will lead to the weight loss that will last for life. Again, the true goal is to get it off, but to make it sustainable, to make it last. So this sort of paradox of slowing down to accomplish more and trying softer versus trying harder. And by the way, trying softer is from the title of a book I adore by Andi, I think that's how you pronounce her first name, Kolber, Kolber, actually titled Try Softer. I highly recommend it. But instead of trying harder to actually get what you want for yourself, for your body, for your relationships, for your life, it is one of the most helpful concepts for creating lasting change is this idea of trying softer instead of trying harder or slowing down, and instead of speeding up to accomplish more. But it's also that most of us really have a hard time with. We just can't quite grasp this paradox or believe it's true. If we're a black and white thinker, if we're a very dualistic thinker, we don't have a lot of practice in flexible psychology. So we're very black and white. We're thinking very dualistically. This paradox is especially tough to grasp or to believe or to take on. So, this is something that you have to practice in a mindset way, but I am telling you, it is everything. It is everything. So, most of us are really inundated, particularly in this culture, that we have to go harder, move faster, drive hard, be strong, be busy all the time in order for us to get to our goal or to accomplish something. And the problem is this just does not work long term. I hope you are finding something useful from these episodes and this podcast. And if so, please share it with someone else in your life you feel it could benefit. This podcast is also now monetized. So if you really feel you are getting a lot from it and want to help keep it going, please go to the episode show notes. You can just scroll down from wherever you're listening. You'll see a description of the episode, and then you will see it says support this podcast. And then there's a link you can click on. You can click on that link, and that's where you can support the podcast. Even the smallest donation, like 99 cents, helps to keep me producing the podcast. And to those of you who have donated, I really, really appreciate the support. I really do appreciate all of you listening and sharing the space with me. Again, just very thankful for all of you. It is really common for us to think that the faster we move, the more we can accomplish. The more we do, as busy as we can be, that's how we accomplish things. However, the truth is, and we've got lots of research behind this just isn't me just making this up. The truth is that taking the time to slow down can actually lead to greater productivity and success in whichever way you want to define that. So let's explore why slowing down and trying softer is really important. And I'm going to share some practical behavioral strategies for achieving more by taking it slow. So why do we want to slow down? So first and foremost, slowing down allows us to reduce stress and avoid burnout. So when we are constantly rushing from one task to another, our bodies and minds really never get the chance to fully recover. And this leads to increased stress levels and decreased productivity. But remember what increased stress levels also do for those of you listening, particularly for weight loss, right? Increased stress levels change our cortisol patterns, and the change in that pattern changes how insulin works in our bodies. And so when we are highly stressed, it is going to be really, really, really difficult for our body to release fat. The body's going to hold on to everything because when we are, so stressed like that, our body really thinks it is in this sort of state of fight or flight. And so it's going to hold on to absolutely everything. So we really want to be able to step back and slow down. And this can help us to recharges our body, and to return to our work, to our goals with renewed energy and focus. And that's really what we need for any goal that we want to accomplish. Slowing down also allows us to think more deeply and critically, right? When we're constantly on the go, we really tend to rely on quick surface level thinking, which just does not help us in those deeper issues that we kind of need to move through to have that sustainable weight loss. And obviously it affects so many other things in our lives, not just weight loss. But we want to be able to think more deeply, and we want to be able to think more critically and not just stay at the surface level thinking day in, day out. So when we take the time to slow down and reflect, which is also, by the way, why I'm a huge proponent of journaling, because it makes us slow down our thoughts, and that's when we're reflecting, then we're able to process information more thoroughly and make more informed decisions. By the way, this is also why people see therapists or life coaches or whatever, right? Because you have to have this conversation. So your words have to slow down, your thoughts have to turn into words. So thoughts have to slow down. You have to be able to verbalize words. And this is a processing. This is how we process information more thoroughly. And again, how we can make more informed decisions. Okay, and then why try softer? So trying softer means not trying harder, right? We're always saying, try harder, try harder. No. This still means we try, but we try within a different frame of mind. We try from a mindset of lightness, of curiosity, of compassion. Most of us only learn to try harder, right? We learn, especially again in our culture, we learn to push, to drive. And, if we don't go hard, and if I'm not busy all the time, everything's going to fall apart. And if we're not constantly trying hard, we're going to fail. Now, I think of this in ways around all aspects of our life, but again, because this podcast is also about weight loss, that's why a lot of you are listening, I'm going to use weight loss as an example. So when we are constantly trying harder to lose the weight, to follow the diet, to not eat all the cookies, to try hard means to kind of white knuckle things, to be holding on so tightly that every part of us, including our actual physical bodies, are in tension. When we are trying harder, Our physical bodies are in tension. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you know what tension in the body does. Again, it sends off different biochemical reactions, and it's going to be really, really difficult to drop weight. So you may want to argue with me here. I mean, a lot of people, when I have this conversation, especially with clients, there is often some arguing that goes on because trying harder may be working for you right now, right? You are super strict with that new fad diet and man, those pounds are flying right off. So it's working. And for me, it did too. Trying harder worked until it didn't. And this is always what I say to people who tell me keto worked for me. But now I've gained this weight back. So I need to go back to keto because it worked. And it's like keto didn't work. If it had worked, the weight would not be back on your body. So I'm always saying things work until they don't. In my life, I was in constant try harder mode. I'm total type A, hustling, busy, overworking, over exercising, overtraining, overthinking, and constantly shifting myself to accommodate for any dysfunction around me, right? Always trying to people please, make sure everyone around me was okay. These strategies kept me going for a while, but eventually they did stop working. And not only that, they contributed to burnout, health issues, bouts of anxiety, and then depression. These patterns remain for many of us with this mode of operation, and they keep us from truly being present to our own values, the things in life that matter the most to us. And because of this, we find ourselves burned out and unable to make the changes we really, really want to make. And this includes weight loss. Okay, so some real practical strategies for slowing down and trying softer. And you're going to hear, so the first one is mindfulness meditation. You've heard me say it over and over and over again. I'm sure you're probably sick of hearing it, but I can't leave it out because we really know that it works. So one of the most effective ways to slow down and to try softer, adopt that mindset, is to practice mindfulness meditation. And this involves taking just a few minutes each day to simply sit and observe your thoughts and sensations without judgment. You could write them down. You could simply reflect on them in your mind. You can do things like a body scan. You could follow a guided mindfulness activity. There's tons of apps for that. You can Google or search on YouTube. There's tons that come out that you can just follow along with. But again, as you always hear me say, the research says, and well, you could also do a breathing protocol here, but research would tell us you need to do it every day, about 3 to 5 minutes minimum every single day. So you can't just bank this and do like 60 minutes on the weekend. It doesn't work that way. To make the changes within the brain, to really start to embody this, you need to do it every day. And this practice really helps us become more present and centered. It reduces stress and increases our ability to focus. The next one, I'm calling it single tasking. I'm sure I'm not the only one to call it that, but single tasking. So rather than trying to multitask, right? I mean, just throw out the idea that you're supposed to multitask or you should multitask. We know multitasking is not as productive as single tasking. So single tasking, focus on one task at a time. And this allows you to give your full attention to each task, to complete it more efficiently, rather than constantly switching between tasks and losing focus. We lose so much energy within that back and forth mode of switching attention. Remember, single tasking, it's all about where you focus your attention. Attention is a gift. We can only put it in one place at one time. So really try to stay in that mindset of, I'm going to focus on one thing at a time. And then prioritize. So prioritizing if you have a to-do list going, you really want to just prioritize that based on urgency and importance, right? So it's like, if you have, like I do, a running to-do list, I mean, there's probably 50 things on it, but how I have to, so I don't get overwhelmed by it. It's like, I have to go through, I take the things that have to be done today, and they go at the top of the to-do list. And those are the only things that I'm going to get done. Now, if I have time or energy to get to some of the others, that's fine. And that's why I have that running to-do list. But you really want to prioritize just 1 to 3 things on a daily basis based on urgency and importance. It really allows you to focus on the most critical tasks first, reducing that feeling of being overwhelmed and increasing your sense of accomplishment. Okay, another one to implement, take breaks. Make sure you're taking regular breaks throughout the day to recharge your mind and body. One of the things, I think I had a client who named this, I'm not but called breath snacks. So throughout the day, taking breaks, and during those breaks, it can just be for 30 seconds to a minute, but do a breath protocol, right? Set your alarm if you need to remember to do this, but taking regular breaks throughout the day to recharge your mind and body. So besides the breath work, it could include like take a quick walk outside if you can, just stand up and stretch, or just, like I said, simply closing your eyes and taking a few deep breaths. And then the fifth one, practicing gratitude. So again, tons of research behind this. This isn't just me making it up. So take a few minutes each day to really reflect on what you're grateful for. When I work with clients, they have a lot of different templates that we use back and forth, so that they can follow these templates. They're asking questions, there's journal prompts, things like that. There's a daily plan template that they follow, and then one for the evening. And in the evening on their template, it talks about what are you grateful for, because this really helps to shift our mindset from one of stress and overwhelm of the day to one of appreciation and positivity. Really allows us to approach our work, our day, our goals with a clearer and more focused mindset. Okay, so taking that time to really slow down and practicing that try softer mindset really does help us accomplish more in the long run. Really helps us hit our goals and be able to sustain them, meaning we create that sustained weight loss and health for the rest of our lives by putting aside the try harder mindset, the white knuckle it mentality, instead of seeing this as an enjoyable process. Weight loss can be a very enjoyable process. I know many of you are saying, yeah, no, but I am telling you it can. It can be one of curiosity, one where we don't have to try so hard and instead can stay lighthearted and relaxed around the process, thereby reducing stress, increasing focus, and achieving our actual goal, which may be losing the weight and living in a healthy body for the rest of your life. Do not forget that part of your goal. Many of us, will just say, well, I want to drop, 5 to whatever, 100 pounds. But it's like, no, the actual goal is I want to drop 5 to 100 pounds and keep it off for the rest of my life, right? So always include that second half of your goal. Their goal really is to drop the weight, but to keep it off effortlessly for the rest of your life. I work with my clients to figure out ways to get them to adopt this mindset as they lose the weight they want to lose. We create ways of eating, moving, and thinking that fit for them. And we use accountability and we use templates and plans to help them follow through on behaviors in a way that feels doable and sustainable for them. You can check out my website for more detailed info if you're interested. Thanks again for listening. I really, really appreciate all of you being here. If you think you might know someone who would benefit from listening to this, I would ask that you just share it with them as the podcast grows. It's because you are sharing it sort of this grassroots way. And I so appreciate it, because that really is how I keep this podcast going. The more listeners, the more I can produce, the more I can keep it going. So I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. We'll talk soon. Just a reminder that this podcast represents my own opinions. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult your doctor or healthcare professional for any individual medical questions you may have. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and get in touch with questions on all things I offer, like online courses for overeating, weight loss, goal attainment, and also my coaching and counseling services.